Computers are very good at chess, but they're not perfect, and today I have 3 puzzles that prove that point. So, subscribe if you're new around here. If you enjoy these puzzles, give this video a like, and with that, let's begin. The first puzzle you see on the screen right now, and it is a checkmate for white in just 9 moves, but after leaving the computer on for a good solid couple of minutes, it can only find one in 14 moves. I encourage you to try and give this puzzle a shot, try to figure out the logical idea here for white, but I will reveal the answer now. So, the things to notice here is that other than this knight, none of black's pieces can move. And so this knight is just going to move back and forth between these 2 squares. And so if you move the king, for example, the knight will go here, defending this pawn, because if it moves somewhere else, you have checkmate. And so it has to go here to defend the pawn, and you can't take it, because then they will take it, and they've given themselves some room to escape now, and even though you're completely winning, this isn't going to be the fastest checkmate now. And the reason that black won't go here instead is because then you have this idea bishop c5, the knight has to move again, and the second the knight moves anywhere on the board, you're going to checkmate them. It doesn't work when they go here, however, because if you go bishop c5, they have this really cool resource, knight to c3 check. You can't take because of stalemate, and once you move, among with other things, I mean, maybe they have some checks here, but they could even just take this pawn, and after you take, it's stalemate again. And so black is in a very fragile position, and they're going to be able to just sacrifice their knight and get stalemate, which is why in this puzzle, what you have to do is move your king over. So now they don't have any checks, which means they have to go back to the square. Now here, you can't take the knight because of stalemate, you move your king again. They move their knight here, and still you don't want to move your bishop yet because they'll give you a check, and it's the same thing that happened last time, so you keep moving your king over. They'll move their knight back, you move your king again because you don't want to take, they'll move their knight back, and you still can't do it here because they have this check over here, and so you move your king once again, and what you're doing actually is moving your king so it's far enough from the knight that you can then, in the end, play bishop c5, and they don't have any checks, and so they'll move the knight somewhere, and you're going to checkmate them. So the idea here was to move the king as far away from the knight as possible, so once it's their turn to move, they don't have any checks, and once they move, you're going to be able to checkmate them. So on to puzzle number 2, we have a really cool one here. Notice that, and I do encourage you to take some time and pause the video if you want to try to solve this on your own, but I'll go ahead and talk about the solution. So you're obviously trying to promote. That is your one goal, but they have a knight here that is always going to be able to do a fork, and so you can't really promote because you'll lose the queen immediately, and then black's extra pawn advantage here is just going to become very apparent. They're going to probably sacrifice a pawn and promote the other one, which is why you can't promote immediately. And the solution here is starting with this check. And notice the king can never go to the back rank because then you can promote with check, and they don't have the ability to do a fork because they have to move their king. And that leaves black with 2 options. They can either go to g7 or to g6. Now if they go to g6, then you have this bishop h5 move, and wherever the king decides to move, whether it's taking the knight or simply stepping away, notice the bishop guards this f7 square, so wherever the king moves, you can promote, and they won't have this fork because you're going to be able to take the knight. So that leaves them with king to g7. And here, you still can't promote because of the fork, and you don't really have the time to set up this check. You don't have the time to guard the square because it takes too much time, and black is going to be able to get some counterplay with the pieces here. Or, for example, pushing this pawn and giving you a check. You have to do everything with check. That is why you're moving the knight to h5 with check. Again, the king can never step into the back rank. They're going to get mated because you're going to be able to promote with check. Similarly, they can't go here because then you can promote, and the king actually stops the knight from coming to f7. And they obviously cannot go here for legal reasons, which leaves them with 2 options, either g6 or h7. If they go to h7, you can give this check, and they're forced to step into the back ranks where you can promote, which is why they're going to move to g6. Here you still go bishop c2 check. giving them the ability to take the knight, actually forcing them to take the knight, because if they go to f7, again, you can promote with check and their knight no longer has access to that square. But once the king is here, then you start to realize that the king doesn't have too many squares. If you were able to stop these two squares, then the king would be trapped. The bishop guards this one, the pawn guards this one, and the pawn this one. And that is why now you do sacrifice the queen. You sacrifice the queen because it will allow your king to be able to move over to this f5 square where it is guarding all of these critical squares, and now the king is stuck, and one check is all it needs, specifically this bishop d1 check. So you basically sacrifice your king in order to gain the tempo that the knight is giving you by doing these checks, which can allow you to move over here to f5. And black is just losing now because the king can't move, and even though you only have one bishop and one pawn and one king, you have enough material to do checkmate because of the horrible position of the king. And with all these pieces that black has, they just can't stop you. The threat is bishop to d1 checkmate, so e2 is a logical response, but then bishop e4, and once again the threat is bishop f3 checkmate. Basically, if the bishop lands on any one of these diagonals here, then it's going to be checkmate, so the bishop's going for f3. They can promote to a knight and temporarily stop you, but then you go bishop d5 and you're trying to reroute the bishop. They go to c2. Now you go bishop c4, again trying to go to e2 and getting onto this diagonal for checkmate. And again, they can promote to a knight, so it is a pretty funny puzzle here where they have 4 knights, but then bishop to b5, and it's kind of a fork in a way. You're threatening this checkmate, you're also threatening to move the bishop onto this diagonal. So let's say they guard the e8 square from your bishop, you can go bishop a4, going to d1, and they can't do anything actually. There's just no way for them to really guard the square. Their best response, I guess, is to just give away both of the knights, but in this position, they have no way to check your king, even though it's right in the center of all of these pieces, it's on the perfect square. There's absolutely 0 checks that they can do, and that is the puzzle. And now for the third and final puzzle, and this one I really like because it shows how stupid sometimes the computers can be. And you'll see what I mean in just a couple of moments. So pause the video, try to find the solution, and now I'll go over it. It's a really brilliant idea, bishop a4. The king has to take, and now you go b3. The king has to go to b5, now you go c4. You keep on kicking the king this way. Notice it can't go here, it has to stay on this diagonal. And then you go e6. They can take the bishop, they can move to the side. It doesn't really matter because your continuation is the same, the move f5. And now you've blocked their pawns. You've created some wall structure here where they have no way to go in. If they had a knight, then the story might be a bit different because then they can try to maneuver their knight because the knight can jump over these pawns. But with the 2 rooks, the bishop and the king, there's just no way for any of these pieces to come to your side, and it is a complete draw. And even in this position, I mean, if the computer can't see here that it's a draw, that's a little bit understandable. But in this position where there's just this wall where it's clear to our eyes that there's nothing black can do, the computer still doesn't agree that it's a draw. Of course, from here, black can try to trick you, let's say going rook to b5 or maybe rook to d7, trying to give away the rook in some way. And hope that you take, but just never take. Because if you take, then suddenly black might be able to have some chances. They can prepare this pawn push here and start opening it up. But as long as you keep your pawns in this structure here, there's nothing black can do. And all you want to do is move your king around wherever it wants to go here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed these 3 cool puzzles. If you did, then subscribe and like the video down below. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.